In the late 19th century, a chilling belief gripped the small towns of New England, where the specter of death took on a ghastly new form: vampirism. Among the most notorious cases was that of Mercy Brown, a young woman whose tragic death would ignite a frenzy of fear and superstition, culminating in the exhumation that would become the centerpiece of the vampire panic. The year was 1892, and the town of Exeter, Rhode Island, was reeling from a tuberculosis epidemic that had claimed the lives of several families. Tuberculosis, often referred to as consumption, was the relentless disease that sapped the strength of its victims, leaving them gaunt and pale. In this close-knit community, the loss of loved ones was met with sorrow and confusion, and as the death toll rose, whispers of something sinister began to spread. Mercy Brown was a vibrant 19-year-old who lived with her family in a small white farmhouse surrounded by the rolling hills. Her mother, as well as some of her siblings, had succumbed to the illness of tuberculosis, and despite her efforts, Mercy too fell ill. In January 1892, she passed away, and her death marked the tipping point for the community. As the townsfolk mourned, many began to connect the dots between the Brown family's tragic history and the ongoing deaths around them. Mercy's brother Edwin, who had also contracted tuberculosis, grew increasingly ill after her passing. Eyewitness accounts describe a community gripped by fear at this point. People began to speculate that Mercy's spirit had returned from the grave to prey on her remaining family members. The panic intensified when local superstitions and folklore about vampires began to resurface. Many believe that if a deceased person was not fully at rest, they could return to drain the life from the living. Are you enjoying today's story? Smash that subscribe button so you never miss another spine-chilling tale. Let's get back to the video. This fear prompted some members of the community to suggest that the Browns were victims of vampirism. In March 1892, prompted by an ongoing illness of Edwin and fueled by community speculation, a group of local men, including the town's physician, decided to exhume Mercy's body. The decision was steeped in desperation and superstition, reflecting a growing belief that the dead held power over the living. The exhumation took place on March 17th, and as the men approached Mercy's grave, they were filled with a mixture of dread and anticipation. When her coffin was opened, the sight that greeted them was shocking. Mercy's body appeared remarkably preserved, despite being buried for nearly 2 months. Eyewitnesses later recounted that her skin was pale, but not decomposed or decomposing, and there was blood around her mouth. In the dim light of the graveyard, the men interpreted these signs as evidence of vampirism. Convinced that Mercy was rising from her grave to haunt her brother, the townsfolk took drastic action. They decided to remove her heart and liver, believing these organs could be the source of her supposed vampiric power. The men cut out her heart and burned it in a nearby graveyard, collecting the ashes to give to Edwin to consume. This act was seen as a last-ditch effort to save him from the clutches of his sister's alleged curse. In the following days, Edwin's health did improve, which many interpreted as confirmation of the townspeople's belief. However, the real cause of his recovery was likely due to the natural course of the disease and the warmer spring weather, which often alleviated the harshness of tuberculosis. The story of Mercy Brown became emblematic of the New England vampire panic, echoing through folklore and history as a cautionary tale about the dangers of superstition and fear. As the panic subsided, with the advent of modern medicine and a better understanding of diseases, the legacy of the vampire panic lingered on in the collective memory of the region. The exhumation of Mercy Brown remains one of the most documented cases of the vampire panic in New England. It highlighted how fear, misunderstanding, and the desperate search for answers can lead communities to extraordinary measures in the face of tragedy. Today, Mercy's story serves as a haunting reminder of a time when the line between life and death was obscured by the shadows of superstition, and the very notion of vampirism could turn a grieving community into a frenzy of terror. Thank you for watching.